Hi and welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Lorena. So today's video is going to be a wrap up of all my books that I have read in December. There are 13, so we've got quite a few to go through on this list. I read Stephen King properly for the first time in December. I also picked up some Christmassy reads, and I ended up picking up a couple of graphic novels at the end as well, which is a first for me. So yes, a really exciting month, and yeah, let's get into it. So my very first read of the month was a Christmassy one, and that was Christmas Days, 12 Stories and 12 Feasts for 12 Days by Jeanette Winterson. So I picked this up as an audiobook from the library, and yes, it was 12 Christmas stories that she's written over the years, and they were fun, festive, and there were some recipes and things in between that she read herself, and there was someone else that was reading the actual stories. I gave it 3 stars. It was a great way to start December and to get all those Christmassy vibes. So yeah, nice easy first book. Next I read Stephen King for 24 hours, and this was my first proper read. Sorry, this was my first proper read of Stephen King. I have previously read Shawshank Redemption in summer, and that's been the only King that I've read, so I actually picked up novels this time, and I did a reading vlog, so I will link. And the first one I picked up was Carrie. I really enjoyed this. It is one of the few actual short novels by King. It was his first published one, and first of all, don't you just love that cover? Because I do. So this follows our main character, Carrie, in high school. People are really kind of mean to her, and she doesn't fit in with everyone. But then it turns out that she has telekinesis, I can still not say that word, telekinesis powers, which start to kind of show themselves after an incident at the very beginning of the book. But it all comes to a head during prom night, when somebody, there's a bit of a practical joke. It's quite mean, it gets played on her, and that's when everything happens, this huge thing. I'm not going to say too much, but yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I liked the character of Carrie. I felt bad for her and how she was treated, and yes, I think it was a great way to start off on my King journey, and I gave this a 3.5. Next, I read Misery, and again, let's appreciate this cover. You can see the typewriter and the trees, wintry vibes, love it. And this, absolutely love it. I'm not going to say too much because I do share my full opinions in my reading vlog, but it was a 5-star read for me. 5 stars. Annie Wilkes is such an amazing character. She's horrendously awful, she does horrendously awful things, but as a character, fantastic, the way he wrote her. So in case you don't know, Misery follows, it's Paul, isn't it? Yeah, Paul, a novelist, and he has an accident in the very beginning of the book, in a snowstorm, and he gets rescued by Annie Wilkes, who happens to be a nurse and also his #1 fan. And she doesn't take him to hospital, she takes him to her home because, the snow and stuff, she can't get there, so she has to look after him. And for the first couple of weeks, he's kind of going in and out, because he's on these drugs that she's given him for his pain and things. So it's only about 2 weeks after that he wakes up, and then you start to realise kind of what's happened. She says there's problems with the phone lines and they can't get to hospital, but as soon as she can, she'll get him. However, during this time, she finds that he's written his new manuscript, but it's not a misery novel, which is what he's known for, which I think is some sort of like historical fiction romance type book. Because he's written something completely different because, he doesn't want to write misery books anymore, and she doesn't like it. And she manages to get a hold of his very last misery novel, in which he kills the character off, and she is not happy. She is not happy at all, and she makes him, you know, write a new mystery novel. And I'm not going to say more than that. It's about this, it goes over several months, and you'll see what happens. She is psychotic, she's crazy, and I don't want to say too much, but she's a fantastic character. This was a 5-star read for me. I was hooked, like, read it in a day. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Then I read The Invisible Life of Audrey by V.E. Schwab. It was my first book that I read by V.E. Schwab, and I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I gave it a 4-star. This is such a great read. So the book follows Audrey LaRue, and she is, it starts in the 1700s in France, and she ends up making a bargain with, well, what you assume is the devil, to live forever. However, he curses her to be forgotten by everyone she meets. So as soon as she's out of their sight, they forget her. And yeah, she said she'll, you know, let him know when she's kind of had enough. And it keeps going on. You have two timelines. You have the one in the past, which starts in the 1700s and goes throughout history, and then there's a timeline now. I think it was 2014 in New York. So you get both sides to see. She's obviously lived for a very long time. She hasn't given up that easily, and it's about the relationship between her and Luke, as she calls him. And eventually, one day in 2014 New York, somebody remembers her. This guy she meets in the bookstore remembers who she is, and in the book it's like unraveling this mystery about how this guy remembers her also finally actually being able to have a bit of a normal relationship with someone, and then the past history between her and Luke, because throughout the years he's always visited her, and tends to be on the anniversary of the day of their deal. I don't want to say too much more than that, but it is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. If you haven't picked it up, do. It lived up the hype for me. Definitely pick it up. I then read Starry Skies Over Chocolate Pot Cafe. Chocolate Pot Cafe, that's a mouthful of a title, and it is by Jessica Redland. I picked this book up on Kindle Unlimited, as I'm just doing a little trial at the moment. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It's one of those books that is set around Christmas, like, you know, you get quite a few chapters at that time, but I wouldn't say it's a fully Christmas book, you know, like you could read it at a different time of the year, like, you know, winter months, and still, you know, get good vibes from it. But it was a thoroughly enjoyable read. So it follows our main character Tara, and she owns the Chocolate Pot Cafe on Castle Street, and it's coming up to Christmas. Everyone's getting all sort of Christmassy, and she doesn't like Christmas. There's something in her past that's kind of, something's happened, you know that, and she just doesn't like Christmas, and she dislikes New Year even more. So you know something bad has happened in her past to make her obviously hate that time of year, and she kind of keeps herself closed off from everyone, doesn't really let people get close to her. And basically throughout this novel you see her starting to get close to some people, and you slowly start to see her story and why she not hates, but doesn't really enjoy Christmas or New Year, and you see what kind of happened in her past to make that happen. Amongst all of that, also there's somebody who comes back to Castle Street who she doesn't get on and she hates, and yeah, maybe there's a little bit of romance in there, you know. I enjoyed it. It was a fun little cute read before Christmas, and I don't know if I said, but I gave it 3 stars. I then read A Christmas Island by Jenny Colgan, and this was for the 24-hour cozy Christmas readathon. I think that's the full title of it. Again, I have a reading vlog, so I will link to that. And yes, I read this book during it. So this is part of a series I found out after I bought it, but I didn't feel like I'd missed out by not picking up the earlier ones. So it's set on the island of Muir, off the coast of Scotland. So it's a very small island, small town vibes, you know. Everyone knows everyone, and you have a few main people that you follow. So there's Flora, who runs the cafe on the island, and we follow her in her story. There is a Syrian refugee doctor, and he's there with his two little boys, and this is his first Christmas on Muir, in Scotland, and his wife has been missing since obviously they left Syria. So you get the storyline of him. Obviously they've been adjusting, I assume, in the other books, but it's their first Christmas, and also you see what the islanders do for them as well, because he doesn't really know, it's not a holiday they celebrate or part of their tradition, so you get to see what the island does, and that's really cute. And yes, there's a few different characters you follow, and it's this really cozy Christmassy vibes, but small town, you know. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm definitely going to be picking up some of that go back to the beginning of the series. I don't know why I'm problem my words. Go back to the beginning of the series and start from the beginning, because they are really cute characters, and I gave this a 3-star. I then, in that vlog, went on to read A Very Murderous Christmas, which I didn't finish in the vlog. So it's a collection of 10 short stories. It's like crime, even though it says murderous, it's like crime, and there's some murder, but it's crime stories. There was a couple that I liked in this book, however the majority of them I didn't particularly get on with. I just didn't click, you know. And then it was given a 2 stars. Yeah, just because the majority of the collection I just didn't like. It was only like 2 or 3 that I quite liked, and it was my last 2-star of the year, so you know, I've only had a few this year, so not too bad. I then got another Christmassy book, audiobook from my library. Why aren't you focused? I really hope you will focus the rest of the time. So yes, it was the Country Village Christmas Show by Kathy Lake. Yeah, Christmassy book. It don't know what's wrong with my words today. It follows our main character Claire, who's recently divorced, and she sold up her house, and she's moved back in with her mother, basically in the village where she grew up. And yeah, so it's in the lead up to Christmas. I think it was October, November time she moved back. She doesn't think she's going to be there that long, but you know, she does obviously end up staying a while, and it's her getting back into the village, reacquainting herself, that relationship with her mother. Her son also comes at some point, and basically in the village, the old village hall, there was a fire, it burnt down, they got a new one, but since they got the new one, they haven't done the Christmas show, and it's something that her mum has always been involved in, and she just feels like there's a bit of kind of Christmassy, villagey spirit missing. So she ends up with her mum and her son running the Christmas show, and yes, it involves other characters in the village, and she may have a little bit of romance in there too, but a fun read. And I again can't remember if I said this, but it was a 3-star for me. I then got the audiobook for 'Twas the Night Shift Before Christmas by Adam Kay. I read what was it called? His first book anyway, about it was his kind of diary entries from when he was working as a doctor, junior doctor, and this was all the collection of the Christmas ones that didn't make it into his original one, and it was really fun. And yeah, you got Christmas stories. It was nice to see how obviously people in hospitals, like doctors and nurses in hospitals, obviously what it's like for them at Christmas time. So you get all these stories, and again, like the first one, there's humorous moments. You you know, you see the weird things that people go to A&E for, and yes, fun. I didn't rate it just because when it's kind of personal memoir biography type books, I don't tend to rate those. I then went on to A Wedding in December by Sarah Morgan. It's the first book I've read of her, and this, even though it's set in December, again, like some of the other ones I've mentioned, you could read it in winter in general because you get really wintry, cozy vibes from this. So basically, this follows, you got your three main female characters, which is Rosie, the youngest daughter, and she's basically having a whirlwind Christmas wedding. She lives in America now, she's doing a PhD, and she's met this guy, and like after 3 months they've gotten engaged and they're having this wedding, and it's happening at Christmas, which is what gathers all of them in Aspen, and which sounds the descriptions of the snow, which is a perfect read around Christmas time. And then it also follows her sister Katie, who is a doctor, and she is worried that her sister's been impulsive and making mistakes, so she, you know, is trying to kind of make sure that she's okay. She maybe meddles a little bit, you know. And the third main female character is their mum, Maggie, and the girls don't know this, but her and her husband Nick, their dad, are actually getting divorced. They've been separated for months, but they haven't told them, and because they're having to go to ask them for Christmas, and the daughter's wedding's happening, they don't want to ruin it, so they are pretending that they're still together. So there's lots of things going on for funny situations. Yes, lots of funny moments, cozy vibes, and like I said, even though it is in December, you can read this at winter because it isn't overly Christmas, you know. It's not like full on Christmas vibes, but yes, you'll see, does the wedding happen, you know, how is the whole we're still going to pretend we're married thing going to work out, and also Katie's meddling, but also she has some sort of secret as well. And yes, again, a really fun kind of romance chick lit type book, and I gave this a 3-star. It was a very 3-star kind of month that I had. We then came to the point in the month that I only had a few days left, and I was determined to get a nice round finished 60 books in a month, no way, in the year. My goal was 12 at the start of the year, so it's been insane. So I picked up a few short stories, and the first one was Zikora by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and I gave the short story 4 stars. It was beautifully written. So it follows the main character Zikora, who is pregnant, and it kind of follows, you go back in time, you follow the story behind that pregnancy, but also looks at her relationship with her mother. Yeah, so she is Nigerian, but she's a lawyer in America, and she, like I said, she's pregnant, her lover abandons her, so you get that backstory, and then it's her mum that's there in town for the birth of the grandchild. Like I said, beautifully written, and I think it could have been turned into actually a full novel personally, but I did thoroughly enjoy that. I then picked up a graphic novel for the very first time, again because I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to try and get to 60, and it was Giant Days Volume 1, and this was by John Allison, and then it says Whitney Cogar and Lisa Tryman, illustrator. So Giant Days is set in the UK, and it's these 3 girls who've just went to university and they've just become friends, and it's kind of just following their friendship and the things that happen to them. This is funny, it's light-hearted. I don't think I can't really say too much because I don't want to give things that happen, but it's like them very first year at university. Yeah, and following their adventures and the things that happen. so I gave that a 3.5 stars. And then I read this volume 2 to get my number 60 of the year. Again, it just continues on from where it left off. So this is around Christmas break now, so they've been at university for a semester at this point. So the first one's first semester. This is the very start of the second semester that you get here. And again, I gave it a 3.5, and it's just picking up those stories from the first one, like following those storylines, and it was cute. And that's it. 13 books, crazy, and I definitely had a more light-hearted reading month, because a lot of kind of light-hearted books, not heavy ones. I had a bit of a mixture of paces as well, and yeah, just lots of fun. And I think my average rating was around about a 3-star, most of them, and that's it. That's how I ended 2020, beat my reading goal by like so many, and it's fun, and I'm looking forward to starting my 2021 reading. A few videos coming up on my reading goals and certain books and things that I want to read in 2021. And I thank you for watching, listening to me ramble on about these books. And yeah, let me know how many books did you end up reading in 2020, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Bye!